Hi, my name is Jeff Schmidt with Hub International, and we are the preferred insurance vendor for all Oasis Senior Advisors franchises. We wanted to take a minute today to prepare a video to discuss the required insurance coverages in your FDD and how our program can help you solve those. To start, a little bit of background information. Hub International is one of the largest insurance brokerages in the world. I used to own a small business as an insurance agency owner, and we decided to sell to Hub in 2021. So I've been in your shoes as a small business owner, as well as working for a very large company. The reason why we point that out is Hub International has a tremendous amount of resources at our disposal, and so we can help with a lot of different areas, what you might need. A little bit about me. I've always focused on healthcare. And so for the last 20 years of my career, we've been primarily writing senior living facilities. And as I was working with all of my assisted living clients, I kept hearing about placement agents. And so about 10 years ago, we joined a local association in Arizona and discovered that their members couldn't find the appropriate insurance for their placement agency. So we had a little bit of a light bulb moment at that point, and we said, hey, this is a need and probably a growing niche in this industry. So we developed a program from scratch. Now, fast forward 10 years ago to today, that insurance program now has about 500 placement agents insured throughout the country. And we work with all the major franchises as well as Oasis Senior Advisors. Now, Oasis brought us on about 3 years ago because they were having some difficulties finding affordable coverage and then also finding a program that was designed specifically for what placement agents do. There are other insurance companies out there that can write placement agent insurance. However, they oftentimes try to classify it as like a consultant or a real estate agent or something of that nature. That is not the correct way to do that. And so our program is specifically designed for senior placement and for what you do. Talking about the coverages that are required, there's going to be 3 core coverages that are absolutely necessary for the FDD in order to be in compliance. The first one is going to be general liability. Now, general liability can be thought of as your slip and fall type coverage. So this is if somebody comes into your office premises and they slip and fall on the carpet and they get injured and they decide to sue you for their medical bills. General liability claims are far and few between. However, general liability is kind of considered the foundation of any business insurance policy. So in order to build other coverages off of that, you need to have general liability first. You're going to notice that a lot of the coverages that we talk about today are going to have split limits. And so what that means is when you see the 1 million per occurrence limit and the 3 million aggregate limit, they're going to be separated. So basically the max that your insurance policy would pay out for any one claim is $1 million. And your piggy bank of coverage, so to speak, is going to be $3 million. That's the most that they would pay out in any one policy period. So capped at 1 million per claim, 3 million for the 12-month policy period. Now, the most important coverage to understand is going to be your professional liability. This can also be called errors and omissions coverage, depending on if you come from a different industry. But errors and omissions and professional liability are synonymous and really mean the same thing. For placement agents, it's called professional liability, though. You'll notice the same 1 million, 3 million split limits here. And professional liability is really thought of as placements gone wrong. So you recommend a facility and then that family comes back and they allege that the facility was unsafe or caused harm to their parent or their family member. That's where we see most claims happen in this industry. Specifically, we see a lot of claims happen where assisted living facilities do something wrong and then the placement agent just gets dragged into the lawsuit because they were the one that recommended that facility. So that's important to note because you can control only so much in your day-to-day operations. You can know the facility inside and out, you can look at their inspection reports, you can know the owner and the caregivers by name, it can just look perfect up until the point of placement. But once you place that person, everything else that happens after that is out of your control. So the reason why we bring that up is because this is your peace of mind and sleep at night type coverage. If you have professional liability and you get sued for placements that have gone wrong in the past, this is what would step up to defend you. The other required coverage in the Oasis FDD is going to be cyber liability. This is pretty standard for the industry now to require this of placement agents. And the reason being is because you're going to be entering a lot of client data into your system. A lot of people would say, if I'm entering data into Oasis's system, wouldn't they be the ones on the hook if there was a cyber breach? The way that cyber liability laws read is it's actually whoever creates the data in the system is the one that's going to be liable in the event of a breach. So since you're the one entering the data in, you're the one that needs to have the cyber liability to defend yourself if anything were to happen. So those are going to be the three core coverages that are required by the FDD, and we always make sure that our policies include all three of those. All right, additional coverages. The first one that we want to highlight first and foremost is non-owned auto liability. So non-owned auto liability will carry a $1 million combined single limit. And really this coverage is designed to protect you as the business owner if one of your employees were to get into an accident in their personal vehicle. So the way that we see these claims play out typically is you would send your employee to go tour a facility. And if they were to run a stop sign, for example, and hit another car, the police are going to come out and take down their report. And in that report, they would say, what were you doing at the time of the accident? The employee would say, well, I was working and I ended up hitting this person. So that goes into the police report. And any good attorney at that point is going to say, okay, well, since they were working, we're now going to go after the business owner as well because they can cast a wider net, and it's typically viewed as having deeper pockets as a business owner. So it's a higher probability of a payout than just suing the driver by themselves. So they would sue the driver and they would sue the business owner because they were performing a business function at that time. These claims happen very frequently. So it's important to note, and that's why we want to talk about this first before we go on to the other additional coverages. The Oasis FDD does not require you to carry this if you're a sole proprietor. However, the Oasis FDD also says as soon as you hire your first employee, you have to add this on. So it's good to make a mental note at this point that once you hire that first employee, contact our office and let us know. We can add this coverage on. It's fairly low cost, but it is something that's required in order to be in contractual compliance with the FDD. Abuse and molestation is another coverage that we can add on. These claims don't happen very frequently. However, where we do see them occur is when you're working with memory care clients. And so if you're spending one-on-one time with a memory care client, they can allege that they were physically or sexually abused while you were one-on-one with them. And then that sparks a police investigation where you have to defend yourself. So it's not required by the FDD. You don't have to have it. But it is a good idea, and it's something that we can offer for you. If you elect not to add abuse and molestation coverage, our recommendation is just don't spend one-on-one time with any memory care clients. Always work in a group setting. That way nobody can allege that something happened. Another coverage that we can add onto the policy is excess liability. This is kind of thought of as like umbrella coverage when it comes to your personal auto or personal home and auto, and this would extend an additional $1 million of coverage over the top of the policy. So instead of having $1 million per incident, you would have $2 million per incident. Excess liability is a great idea, especially as you continue to grow the business. However, it's not required at the beginning, and it's something where usually you want to get some good revenue flowing through the business before you add this on, because excess liability does tend to be a little bit pricey. So. Now, owned auto, that is another coverage that we can add onto the policy. And this is going to be if you were to purchase a vehicle or lease a vehicle in the name of the business. So if the vehicle's titled to the business, you have to have a commercial auto policy. You can't have a personal auto policy anymore. So if you ever do that, just call our office. We can add this vehicle to the policy. It's no problem at all. Now at this point, we often get questions as to, okay, if I'm going to be using my personal vehicle as the owner, and I'm not going to title it to the business, how do I make sure I'm protected there? And that's a great point and a good question to ask. So if you're going to be using your own personal vehicle, just call up your insurance agent and add something called a business use endorsement to the policy. A business use endorsement is very inexpensive, but what it does is it essentially ensures that the insurance company knows that from time to time you might be going around and touring residents or driving to and from facilities in your own personal car. That way they can't deny a claim if you ever were to get into an accident with somebody in the vehicle. So just make sure that you're doing that. It's an easy conversation to have with your insurance agent. Just call them up, tell them that you started a business and you need to add a business use endorsement. Now at this point, we'll conclude the presentation, but please reach out to us with any questions at all. And if there's anything that we can do to help, we're more than happy to. My email address is at the bottom of the slide. It's jeff.schmidt@hubinternational.com. Typically, Oasis is going to want you to have the insurance in place a couple weeks before you go to training. So we want to start the insurance quoting process about 45 to 60 days out from training. So if you're at that point, it's a good time to contact us. It's a very easy one-page application that we have you complete. And then we'll make sure that we get the quotes back and that you're all squared away before you go to training. So any questions at all, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we look forward to working with you and have a great day. Discuss is